This video is going to be another version of what I call One Play Wednesday, where I try to break down certain offensive or defensive concepts that I thought were interesting or noteworthy across the NFL. Usually try to keep it Ravens or Lions centered. In this case, one of the plays that stuck out to me when I was able to watch the Seahawks game finally late Sunday night into Monday was Julian Love's block with a little under 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. If you watch the game, you understand how big of an impact that was. The Seahawks were able to go down and tie the game thereafter at 20, force overtime, win 23-20. But were the Patriots able to get this kickoff? Were they able to convert it, that is? Then you're looking at a 6-point lead, a very different situation for the Seahawks offense to try to go down and try to tie. Well, in fact, they wouldn't be able to tie. They would have been down by 6 and therefore unable to go for a field goal themselves. We'll let it run through one time, and then I want to talk about one play before this one that I think was important as well. Love is lined up here off the right side, along with Tariq Woolen, who has a blocked kick on his ledger from his rookie season against the San Francisco 49ers that I believe was returned for a touchdown. In fact, this is the block, an amazing play, timely, high effort, if you ask me, by Love, obviously, and multiple other guys. But the play before this is important as well. The Patriots are, at this point, we're talking about 4:45 left in the fourth quarter, facing a 3rd and 6. The Patriots are. They're at the Seahawks 21-yard line. And that was necessarily the case here. I haven't listened to a single press conference or read anything about it other than a game summary, I think on ESPN, about the block. This happens to be Byron Murphy winning to the inside here. And then Leonard Williams is also, who had a sack and a half, played a dominant football game. Those two guys get credit for the split sack. Boye Mafe, one of my favorite players. If you're a Seahawks fan and you're listening, you know that already. I think he played a tremendous game against the Patriots. Again, we're talking about 4 minutes left. Patriots up 20-17. And this, I think, is, well, first of all, it's an overload to the right side by the Seahawks, and they're putting the wing in conflict, significant conflict. NFL extra points / field goals are a little different than the levels of football that I've coached at. So those guys can be foot to foot because, and they almost need to be, because of how large they are. That basically they're taking up more space horizontally with their frame than players in high school or maybe in some cases even college. We had 6-inch splits, so we were stepping down and crossing our feet behind the guy who was in front of us. So there was this natural blockade created by our feet and then the size of the human beings that you're putting out there. In this case, what's happened, what the Seahawks are trying to do is they're trying to put this guy in as much conflict as possible with one outside rusher, Tariq Woolen, trying to bend outside, and then Julian Love going inside. And then all these other guys are created to just occupy the left tackle and tight end. But it really doesn't matter, even though they're eligible. You're supposed to step down, but you can see the conflict that's been created here. Julian Love is jumping over the top. The wing is getting his inside hand on Julian Love, trying to impede him, and just too much of his upper body is oriented in this direction. Now, you may say, well, Coach, he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. You have to secure the inside gap. You just absolutely cannot let it be blocked from the inside. It's the shortest path. It's a very rare human being that can do this at pretty much any level from an outside alignment and then bend underneath to block it with how quickly the long snappers are able to get it down and the holders are able to set it up. It's a difficult process to go through on the outside. It's an easier block. That's not the right word. It's a simpler block through the inside gap. There has to be more of a flat body, of upper body by the wing, such that Julian Love doesn't have the space to get through there, and then a later stab on Tariq Woolen with the outside hand, try to time it up. It's a difficult thing to do. That's why those guys, if you ask me, that's why those guys practice it so much. I think he's gone too soon. I think the wing is gone too soon in terms of, okay, let me handle the inside, and then now try to punch or stab Tariq Woolen on the way by. Tremendous athleticism. I certainly don't mean to downplay what Julian Love did. If you guys are Seahawks fans, you know I did a film study video on Julian Love's performance in their Week 1 win against the Broncos. He's having a heck of a year so far, not even talking about his defensive effort against the Patriots. Guys put up a game-changing play here. It didn't necessarily win them the game. The offense still had to go down and get a game-tying field goal. Defense had to get a stop in overtime, which they did. And then win the offense, go win the game with a field goal. Some big catches on that final drive. I think DK Metcalf had 2. Tyler Lockett drew a DPI, and then Tyler Lockett had a 16-yard catch that really pushed the Seahawks down into field goal range. They're just trying to occupy everyone here with these 4, isolate the wing, and I think what I might do is go find some other iterations of teams trying to run a similar stunt, or a similar block, I should say, and then see how the wings handled it at the NFL level. Again, the level that I coached at, vastly different in terms of the splits that you can take. You don't want to shorten the corner. Again, the level that I coached at, high school youth football, you don't want to shorten the corner so much that you make it easier for the guys on the outside, on the edge, to block, because you've given them less distance to run. At the NFL level, those guys don't have to have splits of 6 inches or 4 inches, or whatever people use. They don't have to have splits because they're large enough human beings, and they can have a significant base with slightly wider stance, such that you're just not going to get through there. It's very difficult to dislodge those guys and get a second rusher through a gap. I'm talking about on the inside, in time enough to block the kick. In this case, Julian Love, perfectly timed jump, that second jump, jumped through the gap basically such that he didn't get tripped, and then was able to re-jump again, spring a second time, get the block, time it up. Beautiful stuff. I know as a Seahawks fan, you had to be happy at that point, and even more so when they tied the game and then won in overtime against a Patriots defense that I think is going to be a difficult group to deal with for a lot of people throughout the 2024 season. I try to keep these videos at the 5 to 7 minute distance or mark, drastically different from my content that I usually put out, which I think would be considered long form, in detail explorations of multiple concepts or play sequences. This is a look at Julian Love's block. If you think that I think was a factor, along with the sack, the play before, the split sack by Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams. If you enjoyed this video, if you think other Seahawks fans would enjoy a somewhat tactical and technical look at his block late in the fourth quarter, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach. Appreciate you guys' time.